couldn't resist. Look at this huge leaf. I cut my mammoth sunflower, but this huge leaf is staring me in the face, and all I could think of was Genesis chapter 3. When Adam and Eve sinned, they had to cover themselves with the leaves around them to try to cover the vulnerability that they now had and the shamefulness that sin brought. And when God came down to walk with them in the cool of the day like he always did, can you imagine? They had to hide themselves because they felt their nakedness. They felt that shame. They felt the vulnerability. And God had to do what he told them would happen. If you eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that's the only tree you can't eat from. But if you eat of it, it will produce death. It'll be disobedience against him, and it will produce death. He warned them of that one tree. And sure enough, Eve was deceived, and she ate from the tree. And now here they are, naked, vulnerable, and shameful. And in that situation, God did what he said would happen. It would produce death. And the first death was an animal. And to cause them to have a covering of that animal's skin. I think of Romans 1:16. Paul says, I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, for it is the power unto salvation to those that believe. The gospel is the only power unto salvation. That when they ate that fruit of that tree of the knowledge of good and evil, it caused them now to have good and evil inside of them. That even our righteousness now is as filthy rags. Nothing in us is good because they ate that fruit and we're from their seed. Nothing they could do to cover their sins was going to work. Now the sin had the curse on it. Now we see the effects of the curse on the earth and even on our lives because we live under the curse still. But only what God did for us. You see, that gospel is not just a teaching, and that gospel is not something mystical. It's an event that really happened. It's something that only God could do. You see, God came down, and he was the only one that could be born of a virgin, the only one that can be sinless to die in our place so we can have salvation through him. The only one that had power over death, hell, and the grave, that he would be able to rise again from the dead, and that we can have newness of life, and that we can walk in that resurrection power. Only God. It was an event. I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, because it's something God did for me, and it's the only power unto salvation to those that believe. We believe, we receive it, and we walk in it. And there's another scripture that says that we are not to be ashamed of Jesus nor his words, because he is the word. But his words, the Bible, what he says, all of it, the absolute truth of his word, the one that we want to learn and obey and grow closer to him with. I am not ashamed of the power of the gospel of Jesus Christ, because it is the power unto salvation. If you have not received Christ in your life, if you're concerned, if you're frustrated because nothing's enough. And it's true, we're not enough. The leaves were not enough. We are going to be empty. We're going to be shameful and vulnerable until we receive Christ into our life. I encourage you to do that and grow closer to him. Because as we learn of him and grow closer to him, we can start to experience life and life more abundantly. God bless.